The human eyes. The human eye is a sense organ which helps us to see the colorful world around us. The human eye is like a camera. Its lens system forms an image on a light-sensitive screen called retina. The eyeball is almost spherical in shape with a diameter of about 2.3 centimeter. Light enters the eye through a transparent membrane called cornea. Behind the cornea, there is a muscular diaphragm called iris, which has an opening called pupil. The pupil controls the amount of light entering the eye. The eye lens helps to focus the image of objects on the retina. The ciliary muscles helps to change the curvature of the lens and to change its focal length. The eye lens forms a real inverted image of the object on the retina. The light-sensitive cells in the retina then produce electrical signals which are carried out by the optic nerves to the brain. The brain processes the information and sends the message to the eye, and then we see the object. Click on any one of the buttons to know more about the structure of an eye. Power of accommodation of eye. When light enters our eye, it is refracted by the surface of cornea and then passes through the entire eye, that is lens, vitreous, cornea, and then finally reaches the retina. The object is clearly visible when the image is formed on the retina. When object, like a tree, is seen closer to eye, the muscles contract and the lens becomes thick and its focal length decreases. When object is seen far away or at a greater distance, then the muscles get relaxed and the lens becomes thin and its focal length increases. Thus, the ability of the eye lens to see both nearby and distant objects by adjusting its focal length is called the power of accommodation of the eye. Defects of vision and their correction. Myopia. Myopia is also known as nearsightedness. A person with myopia can see nearby objects clearly but cannot see distant objects distinctly. In a myopic eye, the image of a distant object is formed in front of the retina and not at the retina itself. This defect may arise due to excessive curvature of the eye lens or elongation of the eyeball. This defect can be corrected by using a concave lens of suitable power. A concave lens of suitable power brings the image back onto the retina, and thus the defect is corrected. Hypermetropia is also known as farsightedness. A person with hypermetropia can see distant objects clearly but cannot see nearby objects distinctly. The near point for the person is farther away from the normal near point, that is 25 cm. Such a person has to keep a reading material much beyond to 25 cm from the eye for comfortable reading. This is because the light rays from a close-by object are focused at a point behind the retina. This defect arises either because the focal length of the eye lens is too long or the eyeball has become too small. This defect can be corrected by using a convex lens of appropriate power. Eyeglasses with converging lenses provide the additional focusing power required for forming the image on the retina. Presbyopia. The power of accommodation of the eye usually decreases with the aging. For most people, the near point gradually recedes away. They find it difficult to see the nearby objects comfortably and distinctly without corrective eyeglasses. This defect is called presbyopia. It arises due to the gradual weakening of the ciliary muscles and diminishing flexibility of the eye lens. Sometimes a person may suffer from both the myopia and hypermetropia. Such person often require bifocal lenses. A common type of bifocal lenses consists of both the concave and convex lenses. The upper portion consists of a concave lens. It facilitates the distant vision, The lower part is a convex lens. It facilitates the near vision. Cataract. In old age, the cornea becomes cloudy. This reduces the vision in old age. In early stages of the disease, cataract can be cured by eye surgery. Sometimes artificial lens is also transplanted during cataract surgery. This is called intraocular lens transplantation. Refraction of light through a prism. Let us understand this with the help of an activity. Fix a sheet of white paper on a drawing board using drawing pins. Place a glass prism on it in such a way that it rests on its triangular base. Trace the outline of the prism using a pencil. Draw a straight line PE inclined to one of the refracting surfaces, say AB, of the prism. Fix two pins, say at points P and Q, on the line PE as shown here. Look for the images of the pins fixed at P and Q through the other face AC. Fix two more pins at the points R and S, such that the pins at R and S and the images of the pins at P and Q lie on the same straight line. Remove the pins and the glass prism. The line PE meets the boundary of the prism at point E. Similarly, join and produce the points R and S. Let these lines meet the boundary of the prism at E and F respectively. Join E and F. Draw perpendiculars to the refracting surfaces AB and AC of the prism at points E and F respectively. Mark the angle of incidence I, the angle of refraction R, and the angle of emergence E as shown here. Here PE is the incident ray, EF is the refracted ray, and FS is the emergent ray. You may note that a ray of light is entering from the air to glass at the first surface AB. The light ray on refraction has bent towards the normal. At the second surface AC, the light ray has entered from glass to air. Hence it has bent away from normal. Compare the angle of incidence and the angle of refraction at each refracting surface of the prism. The peculiar shape of the prism makes the emergent ray bend at an angle to the direction of the incident ray. This angle is called the angle of deviation. In this case, angle D is the angle of deviation. Mark the angle of deviation in the above activity and measure it. Dispersion of white light by a glass prism. Take a thick sheet of cardboard and make a small hole or narrow slit in its middle. Allow sunlight to fall on the narrow slit. This gives a narrow beam of white light. Now, take a glass prism and allow the light from the slit to fall on one of its faces as shown here. Turn the prism slowly until the light which comes out of it appears on the nearby screen. What do you observe? You will find a beautiful band of colors. Why does this happen? When a beam of white light is passed through a glass prism, it split up into a band of colors called spectrum. This is called dispersion of white light. The spectrum of white has colors violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. Vibgyor. The red light bends the least and the violet light bends the most. Isaac Newton was the first to use a glass prism to obtain the spectrum of sunlight. He tried to split the colors of the spectrum of white light further by using another similar prism. When a beam of white light is passed through a glass prism, it is split up into its component colors. When these colors are allowed to fall on an inverted glass prism, it recombines to produce white light. The rainbow. A rainbow is a natural spectrum appearing in the sky after a rain shower. It is caused by dispersion of sunlight by tiny water droplets present in the atmosphere. A rainbow is always formed in the direction opposite to that of the sun. The water droplets act like small prisms. they refract and disperse the incident sunlight, then reflect it internally, and finally refract it again when it comes out of the raindrop. Due to the dispersion of light and internal reflection, different colors reach the observer's eye. You can also see a rainbow on a sunny day when you look at the sky through a waterfall or through a water fountain with the sun behind you. Twinkling of stars. The twinkling of a star is due to the atmospheric refraction of starlight. The starlight, on entering the Earth's atmosphere, undergoes refraction continuously before it reaches the Earth. The atmospheric refraction occurs in a medium of gradually changing refractive index. Since the atmosphere bends the starlight towards the normal, the apparent position of the star is slightly different from its actual position. The star appears slightly higher than its actual position when viewed near the horizon. As the path of rays of light coming from the star goes on varying slightly, the apparent position of the star fluctuates and the amount of starlight entering the eye flickers. The star sometimes appears brighter and some other time fainter, which is the twinkling effect. Advanced sunrise and delayed sunset. The sun is visible to us about 2 minutes before the actual sunrise and about 2 minutes after the actual sunset because of atmospheric refraction. By actual sunrise, we mean the actual crossing of the horizon by the sun. The time difference between actual sunset and the apparent sunset is about 2 minutes. The apparent flattening of the sun's disk at sunrise and sunset is also due to the same phenomenon. Tyndall effect. When a beam of light passes through a colloidal solution, the path of light becomes visible due to the scattering of light by the colloid particles. This is known as Tyndall effect. The Earth's atmosphere contains air molecules, water droplets, dust and smoke. When sunlight passes through the atmosphere, the path of the light becomes visible due to the scattering of light by these particles. Why is the color of the clear sky blue? The molecules of air and other fine particles in the atmosphere have the smaller size than the wavelength of visible light. These are more effective in scattering light of the shorter wavelengths at the blue end than the light of longer wavelengths at the red end. When sunlight passes through the atmosphere, the fine particles in the atmosphere scatter the blue color more strongly than the red, and so the sky appears blue. If the Earth had no atmosphere, there would not be any scattering of light and the sky would appear dark. The sky appears dark at very high altitudes. Color of the sun at sunrise and sunset. Let us do an activity to understand the blue color of the sky and the reddish appearance of the sun at the sunrise or sunset. Place a strong source S of white light at the focus of a converging lens L1. This lens provides a parallel beam of light. Allow the beam of light to pass through a transparent glass tank T containing clear water. Allow the beam of light to pass through a circular hole C made in a cardboard. Obtain a sharp image of the circular hole on a screen MN using a second converging lens L2 as shown here. Dissolve about 200 grams of sodium thiosulfate hypo in about 2 liters of clean water taken in the tank. Add about 1 to 2 milliliter of concentrated sulfuric acid to the water. What do you observe? You will find the fine microscopic sulfur particles precipitating in about 2 to 3 minutes. As the sulfur particles begin to form, you can observe the blue light from the 3 sides of the glass tank. This is due to the scattering of short wavelengths by minute colloidal sulfur particles. Observe the color of the transmitted light from the 4th side of the glass tank, the circular hole. It is interesting to observe at first the orange-red color and then the bright crimson-red color on the screen. This activity demonstrates the scattering of light that helps you to understand the bluish color of the sky and the reddish appearance of the sun at the sunrise or the sunset. Light from the sun near the horizon passes through the thicker layers of air and larger distance in the Earth's atmosphere before reaching our eyes. However, light from the sun overhead would travel relatively shorter distance. At noon, the sun appears white as only a little of the blue and violet colors are scattered. Near the horizon, most of the blue light and shorter wavelengths are scattered away by the particles. Therefore, the light that reaches our eyes is of longer wavelengths. This gives rise to the reddish appearance of the sun.